Hi, I'm Christian Guzman, and I approve of the Board Shorts and Banter podcast.
Aaron, can you turn yourself down?
Hang on. How do I do that? That might be a bit, Josh.
Oh no!
Oh no,
he's getting all the technical, know-how thrown at him today, isn't he?
Where am I doing? How do I turn myself down?
I think it's just Southerners, mate. I think it's just us Southerners in general are just a little bit louder.
Yeah, I'll tone it down. Turn it down a bit.
These Northerners are soft, mate.
Yeah, delicate ears.
Yeah. Well, apologies for me lateness.
Sorry, mate. Dom's just getting another meal because he's atrophying, waiting for you.
Were you planning on getting the whole podcast done post-training without eating?
No. I'm training later after this now.
Ah, okay, cool.
I saw this coming.
Yeah.
To be fair, try and organise 4 bodybuilders. Well, 2 bodybuilders and 2 men's physique guys. It's a mission impossible, isn't it? But anyway, boys, we're in. People, welcome back to the Board Shorts and Banter podcast. We've got 2 very special guests today. We've got Mr. Aaron Carpenter and we've got Mr. Dom Kirby. Both of them actually all in athletes. The only person that's missing now is little Josh C, but he's been on plenty of times. So I think it's good to start off with by saying if anyone wants to support the podcast, obviously get yourself some All In Bodybuilding clothing. You can use code BSB or you can use codes Dom. You go first.
Dom K.
Okay.
Dom K.
Or Aaron C.
But we all know that the best code, the OG code, is BSB.
It is.
You can't argue.
It's more anabolic to use code BSB than it is any other code, apparently.
Yeah,
it is the original one, isn't it? So
it's the OG. It's the OG, mate. But no, anyway, I think it just makes sense then, obviously, to start off with some introductions. So we'll start off with Dom. Talk about yourself. Who are you, mate?
So I'm Dom. I compete in Classic Physique. I am going for my pro card this year. I've actually only competed twice. So once in 2021 and once last year. The 21 show went quite well. That was 2 rows as well. That was like a decent show. Like I won first timers, came second in the open. And then last year didn't go as planned. But it was still good for me to pick up like valuable information about like the peaking process, and because some things didn't go as we kind of thought it would. So yeah, it was good for me to experience that, both with different coaches. So first time was with Kuba, last year was with Ross, and now with Martin. So
no way. As if you were coached by Kuba.
Yeah, for a long time.
That's mad.
Yeah, for a long time. So I went assisted with Kuba.
Of course you did. Whenever I see Kuba, he's like, "Oh, you're going on gear yet?" I'm like, "No, mate, no. Of course he put you on gear."
But to be in all fairness, it was me that came to him with that question. Like we had a call about it, and he was like, "I think it's worth doing. So I think you can get to where you want to get to." So I was like, "Yeah, all right, we'll go for it." And then lockdown happened, so. Yeah, not the best time to start, but yeah, it was good. That was like a good few years I spent with Kuba. That's probably like my most successful time. But yeah, going again in July, which is a regional, and then 4 weeks after that, I'll be competing in Austria. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Great. So that sounds like a all-in trip to Austria.
Yes, it sure does.
Dan, put it on the credit card, my brother.
But no, obviously. So Aaron, as well, introduce yourself, mate. Obviously, I've known you for a few years. Josh, have you known Aaron for a few years as well?
I've known Aaron 3 years.
2
years.
Yeah, around so. Yeah, so I'm an online coach. I'm a retired men's physique athlete. I've done 2 competitive seasons in the board shorts. Hey, I may bring them back out. You never know. Yeah, so 2 seasons in men's physique, and then last season I made the jump up to classic physique, and then at the end of the season I have hung up my natty card, following the route to go down to try and get an IFBB Pro card into the Olympia stage. The classic dream. So that was 3 seasons, and then an online coach alongside that. So blessed position, living the dream, really, right?
You are living the dream, mate. I look at you and I just think, this guy, he's living the dream. When was your first year of competing?
Oh wow! So I got influenced by Body Power. Went to Body Power and seen it was actually One Punch Naz who I seen compete in junior men's physique and just wipe the floor. And I remember saying, "Oh yeah, I want to give that a go." Absolutely no idea around what entailed with competing. I didn't know tested federations, untested federations. I just thought I want to compete at Body Power. So I done a UK show, and was up against some pretty big boys. And I came 5th, I believe, but that was just a one and done season. So then I took a little bit of time away and then went into the UK DFBA once I learned a little bit more about drug tested federations and where I'd wanted to go. And came all the way to the British finals in junior physique and bottled it to Dan Inman, the boy, in the finals then. And I got a little bit of feedback from the judges saying that they felt like my physique suited bodybuilding or didn't completely suit the men's physique criteria. So decided to go down that route as I kind of enjoyed that look a little bit more, and that's where my head was going anyway. So it worked really well that they brought out the classic physique category in the drug tested federations the year after. So that was in my head that I wanted to give it one last go as a natural, just to solidify that love for it and love for that category, make sure I hung well with the classic physique division and make sure that that trajectory was there if I was then to make the decision to go assisted after this season, which I went on and done. So that's where we are. Another second place. I bottled it again in the British finals,
That's the story of your bodybuilding career, mate, isn't it? I bet
at the minute.
you've got a couple of golds and then the rest silver.
Silver, absolutely.
You're just like Tom. It must be a southern thing.
It must be. Moved up north.
Yes. If you move up north, you're guaranteed to win. That's just how it works. Beautiful. What direction should we go down this, Tom? Should we?
Well, I want to first ask Aaron. I always saw you as a passionate natural bodybuilder as well.
Sure.
So when did the switch go for you in regards to making that jump to enhancement? And then I want to ask Dom a similar thing as well.
Sure. I think it was always there, and I was waiting for the right time in my life to do it, because once again, you need so many areas in the right position, relationships, your job, you need so much security around you in order to make obviously that lifelong decision. And I didn't want to rush into it. I think I never had long-term goals within the natural scene. I always knew that's where I probably wanted to take it. It was just a matter of solidifying that decision, just making sure that it wasn't too early. You've always got that in the back of your head, are you leaving it too late to do another season? But I'm so glad I left it as late as I did and got another full season under my belt, learned so much more under a different coach, really solidified the love for it and kind of got to a much better level as a natural athlete before then making that jump. In hindsight, if I went and done it after that last season in juniors, I don't think I would have been ready. So it was always in my head. That didn't take away from me wanting to take it as far as I could within the natural scene. It was just a little bit of a now or never for me, being 25, because I would have wanted to take another 2-3 years out. I'd have seen it as that kind of 7-year window now. So it was the right decision to take. So it was always going to happen. It was just going to be a matter of waiting for the right time.
Yeah. And then, so how many years had you been training before you'd actually made that leap as well?
So it was probably about 8.5 years of total training, and then a good 5 years of competing and actually taking a little bit more seriously with that competitive goal in mind, and 3 full natural seasons under my belt.
And I feel people say oh, there's no real perfect time to do it. But I do think you've got to earn your stripes, and you've got to have gone through, not necessarily you've had to gone through a prep, but you have to have pushed your like physique to an extreme, even if it's through like a natural standpoint, whether that's building a lot of muscle, dedicating a lot of time to actually building that foundation before making that leap, because you've got to know that you actually love bodybuilding
For
before
sure.
you do it. You know?
I've seen people who have made the mistake of going assisted and realizing that a prep isn't what they thought it was going to be, isn't as glamorous as they thought it was going to be, and they've made a lifelong decision now. They can't go back on that. And I think it's so difficult because you see these absolute young superstars rise to the top, like like that Anthony Mantello, whatever his name is, like at 21, getting this absolute rise to fame, mental physique, and you think, flipping out, I'm 25, and you know what I mean? You've got to be so careful not to get drawn into that, and you can see so many people do. Because there's lots of great examples who didn't go assistant until they were massively later on in their career. Ronnie, for example, lots of other people. And that's a much better way of going for sure.
Yeah.
So someone I look at like the perfect example is Bob Waterhouse.
Exactly.
Incredible.
100%.
Absolutely incredible. Like, you look at him on stage with other guys that have been enhanced for a longer period of time, he looks fresh. He just looks so good. And I don't know like the physiology behind that, like how it all works, but it's just, he's a little bit older now, but he's doing well and he's actually getting noticed now. You know,
Agreed.
even
His
in like
lines,
the
his lines are so clean. Like natty guys get that kind of different sort of condition, and it's like he had like the best of both worlds of like get like so peeled, like natty sort of peeled, but then like with that like anabolic like muscle tissue put on top of that, it's a really good look for him.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, obviously, as a natural competitor, you don't have all those that assistance to help you get lean. So when you've learned how to fucking embrace the suck and get into genuine natural condition, when you've then got those things to assist you, it's like happy days, you know. And I feel like
So is Bob assisted now? I thought it was still 90. Oh, that's disappointing.
yeah, Josh, mate, your dreams are shattered, mate. You'll never get to that level now, mate.
Oh, god damn.
He turned pro naturally, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he turned pro.
Yeah, he did. He won a show was it in lockdown or something?
Yeah, I think
so.
Yeah,
Might have been like the last pro qualifier before everything shut down.
Yeah.
Dom, what would you say? When was your like bodybuilding journey then, from like going from natural enhanced, and when did you make that leap as well? And obviously it was working with Kuba, but
so I made that decision basically when I was like 26. I'm 29 now, so about 3 years ago. And it's funny because someone asked me like a similar question when we were at the Arnold, and it really like made me think about it. And so when I was like going through that and trying to like starting with Kuba naturally, and I spent like a year and a half with him naturally, like the natty federations weren't really like presented to me as like an option. I don't know whether that's because I was being coached by Kuba or because, I don't know, the UK DFBA weren't as big as they are now, because they've got like people like you guys and other kind of popular natural physiques like pushing it. Like it wasn't out there, and had it been, like I might have gone down that route first. That is kind of like something that I do think about a lot. Like it's hard to say I regret not competing naturally because everything's worked out like the way it has, and I'm happy with it. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen how I did. But so I always knew that I wanted to become an IFBB Pro. Always knew that I wanted to get to the Olympia at some point. And for me, I was like, well, I'm not going to get there unless I do these things. Like Kuba's my coach. I know he'll take me down the right path. Like he'll help me do it safely. And so that's what we did. Like I didn't really give it a second thought. Obviously I got the okay from him. And that was that. I was like a little bit nervous about like the pinning aspect because that's something that not many people talk about. But thankfully at the time, like Kaylee was happy to do all my shots for me. So yeah, I was
No way.
grateful for her. So yeah.
I'm just picturing this in my head, mate. You just there with like your big fat glutes there. She's just like,
Yeah.
I've done it. I've done it. What do I do now?
Take it out, you leave it.
is it in yet?
But yeah, so that was like my thoughts behind it, and then obviously competing in 2021 like my first kind of properly diet, like as an assisted athlete, was quite an experience. Like my eyes went like really like deep red, like bloodshot. It wasn't a good look, and that kind of like put me off prep for a while, which is why I took 2022 off, because it was like it's quite a scary time. But then kind of we sorted things out 2022, and then went again, but with a different coach. So yeah, that they were my thoughts.
Yeah. So in terms of like, I don't know if you've seen like anyone watching this podcast, like go check out both Dom and Aaron's Instagrams, because both of your physiques when you were natural were like nuts. Like it doesn't even matter for you, Dom, personally, I don't think, that you didn't compete naturally, because like your natural physique was like insane, like absolutely insane. And even if you did compete naturally, I think you would have done very, very well as well. But like you both have very similar goals. Like you are like wanting to go to the Olympia. You are wanting to get your IFBB Pro Cards. And it's like for the, unless you're like 25 years in the game, like Bob, like, shooting for like a natural pro card like that, like it's at the ages that you are and the things you want to achieve, like it is just a route that you have to take, especially with that level of a goal. Mm-hmm. So, it's just something that you've got to be really, really careful about making that decision. But what would you say is like, what would your advice be to someone that is on the fence then? Because obviously you've both gone through that thought process. What would you say, anyone that's listening to this podcast, maybe they're natural bodybuilder right now, is like the biggest piece of advice that you'd give them? Aaron, you go first. Go first.
I think you need to have like an honest conversation with the people around you, but most importantly, like that decision's got to come from you. Even though it's going to affect the people around you, it is your life, your body at the end of the day. But I think you've just simply got to weigh up the pros and cons. And yes, there's going to be cons. Yes, there's going to be pros, but they genuinely need to seriously outweigh the cons to make that decision. And as long as you've done the education beforehand, I think you're then in the position to make an educated decision then. And you should be then content with the decision you've made. But a lot of people think about it for a long period of time, but take that time. I think if you're on the fence and you've only been on the fence for a few months, just take much more time to make that decision. There's no rush ever. And I think if you have the right conversations with the right people, I had so many conversations with different people. I was very open and honest about that thought process and that decision. So like family, partner, my boss at work, lots of people who had already gone down that road, just so I could build the most educated decision around it. So yeah, don't rush, don't be easily influenced, and make sure that decision has enough pros to warrant making it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I would like second that. I think I know for me it was a case of finding out whether other people also thought that I had what it took to kind of go all the way in terms of like my genetics. Because I know that if I didn't feel like I was actually capable of making it, then there's no way I would have touched any of it. So I kind of knew I had the potential to make it, and I just needed that on top of that. Because I see like so many like good bodybuilders like in the natural scene that are successful, but it's kind of in the balance whether like they have the genetics to make all the way or not. They're going to go down the assisted route, and then they can't go back, because once you go down the assisted route, like you're in like the deep ocean at that point. Like it's a tough world because there's some absolute monsters there. Like we're all like aware of that. Like the Olympia stage is full of like the elite of the elite, and it's hard to win shows like as athletes. And if you're not sure whether you have what it takes, then I really think you should like really consider your options.
Mm-hmm. And like compete naturally first,
yeah.
Because the first shows I did were like PCA, and again like similar thing to like to Aaron, like I didn't even know what the UK FBA was. I didn't know what the WMBF was. The WMBF wasn't even a thing in the UK back then. Yeah. So like I just did and just competed for the sake of it. And then when these natural shows came around and I went to them and I saw like the level of competition at them, I was like, I've still got some like catching up to do. I'm like competing against Josh and whatnot, King Josh, and I'm like, I want to chase this guy down. So for me, like, I get so much fulfillment out of natural bodybuilding. Is it an IFBB Pro Card? No. But it gives me the challenge that I need to keep me on my toes, get me into the gym, train hard. And I almost hold like natural Pro Cards still with the same kind of prestige as an IFBB Pro Card. It's just I personally I do not have any intention of going to Olympia. And it's like, for me personally, I feel like with my genetics, I would probably do better in natural bodybuilding than what I would enhanced, just because I don't think I could stand toe to toe with those guys at the top level. And that just is what it is. But I'm happy with that, you know? So for me, it's just like, I get so much enjoyment, fulfillment out of just chasing natural bodybuilding. That's what I'm going to stick to. But
the standard of
you two are passionate about going down that route and, really taking things to the absolute limit, because I feel like you two would have way more potential than, for instance, like someone like me, for instance,
Yeah, the standard of
Dom, what were you saying?
So, like, standard of natural bodybuilding is so good at the moment.
Wild.
Like crazy. Like, I've seen pictures. Like, I'm a posing coach, and I've probably had the majority of my clients have been natural guys. They've all got like such like phenomenal physiques. Like, they come in and see me, and I think, like, geez, I didn't have that sort of muscle at that age. And it's like, it's scary, like natural. So yeah, like, fair play to those federations, but they are churning out some really top athletes.
Some of the 19-year-olds, mate, that are competing this year, I'm actually like in disbelief. Like, I thought I had a phenomenal team, and I do. And then I'm looking at some other teams, I'm like, where has this come from? Like, it's so impressive, and I love it. And I just love this. Like, you go to a natural show, and I feel like the standard is so consistent across the board. Like, so many people in legit condition now. I feel like there isn't as much of a variance in kind of standard. I feel like it's so high at the natural level, which I love.
I think what people forget as well is, by spreading and like encouraging the message of natural bodybuilding, you are also going to spawn better enhanced guys. Because if you can say, look, boys, girls, get into the natural federations, build an incredible natural physique, really gain that passion for bodybuilding. If you want to make that leap, make that leap. And it's like, now, like Aaron, for instance, like, you are like fucking gonna fly. I could just see that from what you've achieved already, because you know exactly what it entails. You then add in that extra element, like to the moon,
Absolutely.
So it's also going to benefit the IFBB as well.
Agreed.
I think the next 10 years of British bodybuilding as a whole, that it's going to be absolutely ginormous, like both natural and enhanced. The natural guys that make it to the top and then go enhanced, that, like you said, they're just going to be such phenomenal bodybuilders. It's so exciting.
Agreed.
And we're just going to stay natty, aren't we, Tom, and just chase all that creatine, bro.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. But Josh, did you have any topics that you wanted to go over with? Well, we could talk about what happened on the weekend with
Michael the Bull. We'll save that one. I've got something that I want to that I've heard on the grapevine about Mr. Dom Kirby.
Ooh.
That I want to dive in on a little bit.
Go on.
Dom, is it true that you prepped your mother?
Yes, it is true.
What?
This was back in like 2019 or 18, I think. But she competed way before I was born. That's her background. She was like Miss East Midlands.
What?
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. So
big up the East Midlands.
I know, yeah, big title, but yeah. So she kind of made a comeback when I started getting more interested in bodybuilding. Like, people always assume that she like forced me into bodybuilding, but I found it myself. I always just wanted to be a bigger guy, and so she came like back to the sport, and she was like, "Okay, I'm going to compete again." So I was like, "All right, well, I want to kind of practice becoming a better coach." And so I prepped her, and she did pure elite, and she actually won her category. So yeah, she is a pure elite pro.
She's a pure elite pro.
She is, yeah.
I've heard that's the pro card. It's like pure elite, and then WUP, and then it's like IFBB and WMBF.
Yeah, underneath.
That is quality. How did you find that as like a son, like prepping your mother? Did you just think, oh, sorry, it's my mum, I'll just push her as hard as I possibly can, or were you like a little bit more like, oh no, it's my mum, I'm going to be kind?
Well, she wanted to be in condition, so I just pushed her like you would push anyone. Like, I don't think she would want anything else. Like when she gets going on prep, like she is a robot. So yeah, I knew I could push her, so I did. So it paid off.
Brilliant.
So the background of that then, so when you were younger, did your mum compete at all? Like, was you surrounded by it? Like, was she like still bodybuilding at the time? Like, how did you get like immersed into it? Because obviously there's some downstream, influence there, big time.
No, so I don't really remember like anything to do with bodybuilding. There are like pictures of me, like I must have been like 2 or 3 to be fair. Like in the front room with one of her like old like video tapes on of like bodybuilding.
No way.
I stripped down to my pants and I was like flexing with them. I've got the whole thing on camera, so I've got those pictures. And yeah, it just so happens that that's what I actually want to be. So
that's amazing.
And we used to do like posing rounds at the dinner table and things like that. That was like, I'm joking.
That's destined, bro. Dom, I feel like this is like a fairy tale story just slowly coming together, mate. It's destiny.
Your next prep, not this one, your next one, your mum's going to prep you and then you're going to become Mr. Olympia.
That'd be the fairy tale end. That'd be the fairy tale end.
Would. Or you might win your Pure Elite Pro card.
That's what I'm going for next.
No, that's jokes. You got to join me on the WP, mate. That's where it's at.
Will do. I'll see you there.
Oh, bless him.
I'm just I'm picturing like you as a baby just like strapped to the front of your mum, and then she's just there like hitting like a front lat spread.
Honestly, like I do sometimes wish that she like carried on, but I know she stopped because she had children. Like she got married, had children. She kind of put all of that aside. She didn't think she'd ever come back to it. And then so I kind of coaxed her back in. So yeah,
mega.
I like it. Question as well. Obviously, Dom, we know your lovely girlfriend, Aaron. Have you got a partner?
I do indeed. Yeah.
Was she with you during your last prep?
Yes, and that was my first relationship through a prep as well, which was quite a eye-opening experience for sure.
For who?
Well, both, I'm sure. That was a important experience as well. I think I learned a lot about myself through being in a relationship, because in the previous 2 preps, it was shut off, head down. All you care about is number one, just crack on. And that was very easy to do. So then to bring more people into the situation you've actually got to care about, that was interesting to manage around, and for the better for sure.
Yeah.
I'm guessing obviously then from that you learn a lot, mate. Because I've prepped with a partner before, and there is, when you do it for the first time, it's a big like it's a challenge. It adds quite a bit of extra stress into the into relationship itself, but also the prep. So what was like the main takeaways from you from that?
I was always very aware going as I'm not going to let this affect anyone, because the previous 2 preps I'd done 1-to-1 PT and I was still 1-to-1 PTing all the way throughout prep. So I was very aware that I couldn't let how I felt affect the quality of my service and my clients, because you're the face of your business walking around all the time. So I thought I was very prepared and aware for that. And I was like, yep, it's going to be fine. I'm going to explain how I'm feeling. It will be sweet. But it wasn't until I got right into the depths of it when I probably got much leaner this prep than I ever had in previous preps, especially having to bring the glutes in. And it was quite a prolonged season in the end. And it was just learning that I need to be better at communicating how you feel, and that doesn't reflect, the lack of actions doesn't reflect how you feel. I think that was the main thing. And you've got to think you're in a off-season setting prior where everything is absolutely sweet. You're really your communication's great. You're you're showing affection quite a lot, and then you get into the depths of a prep where you're in survival mode, and it's just communicating that despite the way I'm acting, as in not showing as much, you still feel that way. So it was wild. And people who knew how low my hormones got, my testosterone was at a sweet 1 nanomole. So I wasn't really feeling much of anything, to be honest, by the end of prep. So there was that. as well, which is cool. So yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it? Because like, you know, I thought what happens during prep is as you get deeper and deeper and deeper, the priorities whittle down a lot
massively.
And it's like your clients, your prep,
yeah,
your partner, and that's it. And it's like even like balancing all those three things, it's like it can be very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm. As much as you're aware of it, as much as I was aware of it, like you don't realise the effect it's having still. And she was a trooper, and once again, we've come out the other side better than where we would have been just going through a normal off season, you know. So lessons.
Oh, mate, I bet she's looking forward to it again, mate.
Everyone is, right?
Is she into bodybuilding herself? Like, does she understand like the? Obviously, I feel like it's a completely different scenario when they understand what it's about, why you're doing it. You know.
Yeah, I think she's learned a lot this year about what it entails, the reasons and stuff. She's always trained herself and been in the fitness industry, but not to the level of competing and got aspirations of competing. So, but she does a great job of understanding for sure.
Yeah,
cool.
And then you've got Dom on the other hand, who your partner is, in my eyes, she's a bodybuilder, isn't she?
Yeah, she still is. She does CrossFit.
Mate, have you seen her back? Have you seen her back, mate? I saw a back shot for her yesterday. I was like, oh.
Yeah, but yeah, deep down, she's still a bodybuilder. Yeah, always.
Because like how she's with you, like obviously we spent a decent amount of time together over the last few months, and how she is with you in your off season, it's like not that I would change. Annabella is obviously absolutely amazing, but for you, it's literally like having someone with you to do everything, not for you, but I guess for you as well.
Yeah.
You're just a great team from what we've seen.
Yeah, I think like my journey, like she feels like it's her journey as well. So, and she wants to be along for the ride, and yeah, so she does as much as like she wants to do, or I like need her to do, or like require. To be fair, I don't require that much, but anything I do require, like she's always there for it. Because she's been there and done it. Like she competed way before like I stepped on stage, so like she won shows. So yeah, she is a very good person to like have by my side, especially like going into these next like few months for sure.
Oh yeah.
I like it. So she competed before you.
Yeah.
So she set the standard, didn't she?
Yeah. She won a show before I even like set foot on stage. So
crazy.
Yeah, she's a real body
no
rat.
Pressure, mate.
Yeah.
No pressure at all.
How long have you been together?
Like 3.5 years.
3.5 years. That's same as me and Annabella.
Yeah.
Is it? Aaron, how long have you been with your partner for?
Just over 1.5 years now. So she had a good season before prepped.
Still early days, mate. Still early days.
What a whirlwind for the girl, mate. You got with her about 6 months later. You're already getting stuck into a prep, mate.
Savage, absolutely savage.
Fair play to her, mate. She must love you. No, I love it. So what was like? All right, cool. So you've like covered that, but like, what would you say, like, Aaron?
Yeah.
Biggest piece of advice to maybe a guy listening to this that does have a girlfriend that is then getting into prep now?
Sure. I think when you're in prep and you're so tunnel visioned, you feel like that is the only thing that matters. But very quickly, prep will be behind you and everything else should still be there if you've kept it in a good spot. So I think number one's communication, just communicating how you feel and why that is making you act the way you are, less affectionate than you were before. So it's maybe showing love in different ways, if that makes sense. I think that's really important alongside communication and just making time. You can still do so much on prep. It's literally you just can't eat. That's pretty much the only thing you can't do. So there is no reason why majority can continue as normal, date nights or whatever that needs to be, all the way up to right at the end of prep where, yes, it might be a little difficult, but that's a lot easier to manage for your partner when it's you suffering for a month, not for 6 months because you're on prep and that's the only thing that matters, if that makes sense.
100%. I think that definitely that switching up like what you'd usually do. Like obviously a lot of the time we like going out, having meals, you know, it's always a good night. But at the same time, you could do things like literally just going for a walk. Like you need to get your expenditure anyway. So get out for a walk or go bowling, do something active, you know, and still spend that like quality time together. It doesn't need to involve like something that's going to create that stress for you. It can actually benefit you. I feel like you just need to plan more. You really just need to sit down together and actually plan things ahead in advance of what you want to do, to make sure that both parties are happy. And ultimately, it's on them as well to, be understanding of why we can't go out for meals all the time.
Yeah.
So, but what about you, Dom?
What advice for someone with a girlfriend?
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron pretty much covered it there. Like, to be honest, it is just planning. I think it's also, it takes some compromise, like from both ends. I think if you're with a partner that's not into bodybuilding, then I would definitely take the time to explain what the process might be like. Obviously, I've heard a lot of stories of guys saying to their girlfriends, "Oh, I'm going to be moody. I'm going to be this and that." But I don't think you should go into a prep like that, because that's not always the case. And if you have that mindset, then you are going to be those things like pretty early on. But I think if you just explain what might happen, and this is how I might feel, and like towards the end of it, like I might have a slightly shorter fuse if that's like who you are, then I think you can sort of get through those like quite comfortably.
Yeah. I always feel like prep exacerbates your personality traits. If you're a thoughtful person, you are just going to you will be thoughtful throughout the process. If you are a knobhead, you're going to be a knobhead throughout the entire process. So, yeah, it says more about you than what it does your relationship whenever you go into a prep with having someone else to think about and care about.
Sure.
But the right partner will understand anyway. So
yeah.
If you are with genuinely the right person, then they're going to stick around, like they're going to understand. So, yeah.
Tom, have you got any tips and advice for someone that's in a relationship on prep?
I would just say you've got to remember and realize, right, that ultimately it is your decision.
Yeah.
Right. So no one else should, you can have as understanding of a partner, and that's amazing. But ultimately, that does not mean that you have any excuse to be a knobhead or be a dickhead. This is your choice. And as kind of Aaron said, a little bit earlier, like just that communication is absolutely essential. So every single step of the way, but also having that self-reflection, because ultimately you can say, oh, I may be like this, and like I may feel like this or act in a certain way, and like that probably will happen. But having that ability to like step back, self-reflect, be like, yeah, you're being a bit of a dickhead here, mate, and just like, actually resolving that before it, blows out of the water, which obviously is difficult, but having that self-reflection, I think, is absolutely vital. And just again, realizing it, ultimately, it is your decision. You don't have to be doing this. So that person shouldn't be picking up the flack for it, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, did you have any topics written down, mate?
Yes. Michael DeBull and Two Bros. What on earth is going on there?
That is odd. I've like briefly watched. I think I watched a Nick Strength and Power video on it.
Yeah.
But mad. What's going on?
Aaron, do you want to go?
Oh,
You two can't really say much, can you? Because you're gonna get cancelled by Two Bros.
We'll never turn pro. No, I think Michael DeBull was hitting some home truths on his story for sure. I think it's something that so many people were thinking anyway, because we only want the standard of UK bodybuilding and the industry to come up. And I think that's where he was coming at it from. That was his point of view, that the standard of these venues, the standard of the lighting, the standard of the show production and how it's run and what they charge, I think they were all extremely valid points. We don't know the ins and outs because we obviously weren't there, but that obviously ruffled some feathers because it was true. And I think to treat a classic physique athlete of the UK of that high of a caliber like that is wild. It doesn't look good. Really doesn't look good.
No, it's mad. But do you know, like I've said a few things on here about natural bodybuilding shows and like, the just the quality for the athletes not being good enough. I think everything that he said online was pretty right for Two Bros. Like the venues are shit. It costs an absolute fortune. And I do think there's an element of like things being slightly rigged, maybe. There's quite a few things that have come out over the past 2-3 years about Two Bros. And, I'm not too involved in it. I'm not too bothered, but it doesn't seem like it's inaccurate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like the whole thing that went on with the Arnold in, I think it was like 2021 and then 2022, because obviously it was their show, and then the Arnold kind of attached to it, and then I think the Arnold like promoters wanted to part ways because they didn't agree with what the Two Bros promoters were doing. I think that kind of says a lot. After last year, I said that I'm not competing in Maidenhead again.
Good old Leicester.
Yeah, like there's nothing there. So like for post show, for example, like there is literally nowhere around there to go. So like to ask your family to come and watch you in somewhere like that is a bit much. So like my regional this time is up in Wigan, so it actually worked out. But like having said that, like the North, yep. So, but you compare that to the venues that PCA have. Like I went to one of their shows at Birmingham Town Hall. Like,
I love that venue.
Yeah, that was so sick. Like even little things down to like the sound system that they use. Like it's just so much better. It just screams like quality. Like the athletes are like properly looked after and they get like a proper experience. Even like the stage, like backdrop. It's just night and day between the two federations, and that's why I would like to try and get a PCA show in this year. But Two Bros definitely need a little bit of a shake up.
Yeah.
Do you know what impression I get? Right, PCA is ran for the athletes, and ultimately that has springboarded them to the point where people just want to compete with them. Because it's fun and the production is amazing, and like that focus on the athlete has elevated PCA. There should be no point anytime at all where like production value for a PCA show is better than an IFBB qualifier or whatever. That shouldn't be the case. So I feel like with PCA, it's ran for the athletes, and that has like shone through. And maybe with a few Two Bros Pro, it's like Two Bros shows, it's more like ran like a business. Yeah, and obviously, like there's business elements to everything, but like ultimately, if you focus on the athlete, you make people want to compete with you. You bring in the numbers. You really make it like an engaging and like exciting experience for the crowd as well. That's only going to push it forward more. It's going to help it grow rather than just purely focusing on numbers and whatnot.
Have you seen the pro qualifiers and pro shows in Spain? Is it Emiliano?
Yeah, the Europa.
Yeah, the Europa. It just looks mint. It looks so much better than anything that the UK does within the IFBB NPC. So it's obviously it's not a federation thing. It's just Two Bros. It's just them as an organisation.
Yeah, I mean, everyone I've spoken to has always told me like to compete abroad, like whenever I can. Obviously, like we've got to the regional here, like that's mandatory, but. Like they've always told me to try and do a pro qualifier abroad, so that's why we've gone down this route and chosen Austria, because they just said the experience is unreal. Like you don't realize like how much better you're looked after, like when you go abroad to compete. Like and like the whole Michael DeVore thing, like you put it into perspective, it's like a club owner getting like an A-list celebrity like coming to their club, like. Not even slating it that badly, but like saying a few things that they can improve on, and then getting beaten up. Like it's literally mental. I couldn't get my head around it. But like I thought it was a joke when I heard about it.
It's absolutely mind blowing. Honestly, can't get my head around it. But hey ho, this is the world that we live in. Welcome to the 21st century, everybody, where we kick the shit out of IFBB pros for saying that we need to improve. Good work, Two Bros. Can't wait to do a natural Two Bros show.
Don't let's not get started on that.
Hey, yeah. Have you heard about the IFBB, like their rules with being natural within the NPC?
I seen the Natty News Daily post or something, but I didn't look into it. Go on,
mate. So you can take gear for 40 years, right? Go 3 years natural, and then compete with them.
3 years.
3 years. 3 years.
That's crazy.
So,
like, you boys should do that. Aaron, just blast for a few years, mate. Get
The whole
absolutely
time, Tom.
disgustingly massive. That was the plan, mate. I know.
So Jay Cutler could compete naturally now.
That's unreal. That's wild.
It's just insane. I think it's so stupid.
It's a shame.
So stupid. So yeah, it's such a shame. So like, one of my questions were going to be to you guys, like, do you ever see a natural making it all the way to the Olympia, or like, you know, breaking the top 10 in either classic or men's physique? But when they're putting the kind of like what their definition of natural is as 3 years natural, I don't think that that's ever going to be a thing.
No,
because of that.
I think the problem is, I think the standard of where enhanced bodybuilder is going, I think it's making it increasingly difficult for a true natural to get to the top. There's been some phenomenal examples. Who was that lad who competed in classic, came 10th in the Arnold in America?
Kendall.
Yeah,
Kendall.
Yeah, like absolutely unreal. And I've seen Adam Powell arguing about 1,000 people in the comments saying he is natural. And I truly believe he is. And I feel like there will be some physiques out there can get damn close, but I think it's becoming increasingly difficult, I believe.
Yeah, agreed. I've seen the top boys in the natural game in the flesh. They've just not got the size that the enhanced guys have got, and that ultimately that will be the hurdle that we all stumble on as naturals, getting that size.
Yeah, it's also like when you get down that conditioned, it's like I feel like one of the hardest things to do as a natural is to be peeled and like blasting full. Like it's like hitting that mark is like so difficult, because like when I saw that Kendall on stage, it's like he looked incredible, but again it was just like
that little bit of
because he wasn't as quite as full. Then like he's obviously like fucking lean, but like because he didn't have that fullness, it almost like takes away that condition in comparison to those enhanced guys. Even if those enhanced guys did have slightly worse condition with him, with that fullness and blasting and just, you know, every just posture, it just gives it that illusion and that look.
Yeah. Just as a, you know, another wonderful topic of conversation, we have a listener called Ian Talbot Balfe.
Yeah, what about this guy?
Did you boys listen to the last podcast that we did?
Of just you two?
Yeah.
I've got through majority of it. I'm not
yeah. Aaron, you're a dickhead. Dom?
Not for the questions, no.
Oh my God, you're both useless. So Ian asked me and Tom, should I play the voice now, or is it a little bit too...
Just it's a bit long. Just ask the question.
Okay, all right. Okay. So Ian asked me and Tom, would you rather shit like a little bit all the time, so like you've got a constant runny bum, or would you rather poo blood every time you went for a shit?
Oh, poo blood every time I went for a shit, for sure.
If it's not painful, then...
Yeah, and as long as I haven't got a health issue because I'm pissing blood out my ass,
Yeah. So I would say, you know, that's the normal answer. But
I'd rather smell like blood than shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, the smell of shit is you know, it's pretty shit. But he was like, yeah, there's a personal story attached. So a day later, when the podcast went live, he sent me 2 1-minute voice notes telling me his story of why he was shitting blood, basically. And basically, when he first started training, he was doing powerlifting training. His coach put him on a diet plan where he was eating tuna and rice every single day. And for 2 whole years, he was shitting blood. And the reason was because he had mercury poisoning from the tuna. So that's more so just to inform the listeners the rest of the story behind Ian's questionable question. And then he's also asked another one today. So yeah, what do we all think about that? Absolutely fucking revolting.
It's a lovely thought.
To be fair, though, it wouldn't be a poddy without an Ian question, would it? To be fair,
yeah, this is quite tame for Ian. It's not like involving any family. So the question is: would you rather do the first 90% of a blowjob or the last 10%?
Wow! All right, we're going there.
Aaron, you any thoughts?
I'll take the floor, Dom. Yeah, I'm going to have to go for the first 90%, I think. Just no mess, I think. Yeah, I think that's to say I couldn't get him finished on that, ain't it?
Yeah.
I think the question is, though, do you have to take it in your mouth, or can you just let it do its thing?
That's a little loophole.
Yeah, exactly. Because if it's just a little, like, over there, I might do the last 10%, boys. Don't know about you.
If that's an option, I'm going with that one.
Yeah.
My question is, how long does it last?
Whereas the first 90%, you got to warm them up. You got to get them going.
Oh, why are you being so graphic?
Back of the throat a few times.
You're so weird. I'm sharing a bed with you tomorrow night, and you're talking about things like this.
Well, you're in for a good time, mate.
Yeah.
What am I going to say?
I'll give you the option. First 90% or last 10.
Dom, you haven't answered, mate. Come on.
I mean, I'll go with your option. If you can last the last 10 and you can like swerve, then I'm going with that all day.
10%, mate. Josh and Aaron, you can stick with the 90.
Rough,
weird.
I don't know.
Josh, don't leave me now, mate. I look like a right weirdo.
All right. Okay, just for Aaron. I'm actually going to go with Tom and Dom. I'm going to say last 10% as well. Aaron, you're an absolute creep.
Arabic.
Unbelievable.
Moving on.
Yeah. Ian, thank you for the question, mate. You have scarred us all for life. And I'm no longer friends with Tom.
I've got another one as well. I'm gonna get together like a few consistent questions that we just ask every single guest, Josh. I think we should do that. But using a towel, right? How many times do you use a towel before you wash it? Like, what's the golden rule? You've got to remember, you're a bodybuilder. You go to the gym a lot, shower a lot.
Yeah, I have multiple towels on the go. Genuinely, because I'll shower more than once a day. So sometimes I'll have 3 fucking towels on my radiator.
Really?
Sometimes. So I don't.
Jesus.
Someone's doing well.
Yeah. No, maybe it's probably 2 or 3 times before one gets washed, I suppose. We've got a bit of a rotation, yeah.
For me, it's like
So
like 5 days.
5 days.
Yeah, 5 days.
That's it.
I've been thinking about this more and more, like how often do we wash our towels? And it's twice a week. So that could be like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
As soon as they're dry, we'll just swap them over.
Because you got to remember, like, you wash yourself and then you get out. You are like wiping down a clean body.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you are. It is like a clean, body. You're going to dry it, so it's not as bad as it probably sounds.
Yeah.
That's a good way of looking at
it.
These are the kind of questions that you ask when you get old, isn't it?
I've got another question then. How often do you change your bed sheets? You spend a lot of time in bed.
I would say every fortnight.
Every fortnight?
Maybe. Yeah. That's probably a bit long. I'd say like a week and a half.
Yeah, week-ish,
Yeah,
week and a half.
Yeah, it's as and when. Like, if it's a week, it's a week. Fortnight. I don't.
When I was at uni, a month.
Hey, I've just thought then, like when I was living at home with my dad, I reckon it was like every 2 months.
Absolute ecosystem under there.
Annabella's just gone. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? She said, if you're right, you've been lying to me the whole time.
Mate, she used to get into your bed sheets and like she just didn't say anything, but like the secret when you were out of the room. She was like,
Tom, I'm going to tell you all the secret. Annabella didn't like coming round to mine because the house, like my bedroom, the house was such a shithole.
Really?
I hate cleaning. And
you're a lucky man then.
I know. And now we live together.
Josh hates cleaning that much that he doesn't even wipe his ass. Annabella wipes his ass for him.
Literally. We're at that point. It's a waste of time. I've got clients to text back.
Yeah.
Just shake.
Do we have any more questions? Because I know Dom's got to shoot off and get his training session, and the boys on prep, so you don't want to keep them too long. Josh, do we have any more questions?
I have no more questions for the boys. I've got one for Aaron. Are you coming tomorrow to Elite?
I am indeed. I'm driving up to Liverpool after this.
Amazing. And are you coming to Rotherham on Friday to train?
Still yet to confirm on that one, but hopefully. I know, horrendous, Josh. I'm horrendous.
You are. You're a terrible human.
Then hopefully I'll be good for that.
Good boy. Beautiful. Right. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Tom, thank you for making the time in your busy mornings to make this a thing.
Right.
Of course, listeners, if you want to buy anything from All In, use discount code BSB and no other discount code, pretty please. Dom, where can the people find you?
It is at _Dom Kirby on Instagram.
Dom's the one that's incredibly gifted. Amazing physique, amazing. Aaron, where can the people find you? Plug yourself.
Aaron _aesthetics on YouTube, Instagram, all the socials.
Are you on YouTube?
Yes, we got a big all-in video coming out hopefully this week as well, which we go leg day.
Oh baby.
Yes,
oh yeah. Me and Tom didn't get invited to that. Well, I don't know why.
The thing is, I invited myself to that one, so.
I'm training legs tomorrow. I'm coming with you. Amazing. Right. Well,
pleasure, boys.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And we shall see you in the next one. Stay blessed, people.